no touch, no talk, no eye contact, right? Towards Shadow. Now, obviously, we're going to be talking as normal, but in the beginning, you're going to act like he's not even here, right? And the reason why we do that is because you see how excited he is, right? Which is normal. You know, obviously, he knows mom and dad is here. So, but we cannot create structure with an excessively excited mind, right? So, what we're going to do in the beginning is we're going to get him to calm down first, right? And I'm still going to be working with him, and I'm going to be talking to you guys, just kind of going through what I'm doing with him. But then once he kind of calms down and realizes like this excited state of mind is not going to get him what he wants, meaning you guys, then we can kind of hand over the leash, and then I can take you guys through the techniques and mechanics of some of the stuff that I've sent you on the videos. All right, cool beans. So what we're going to do, we're going to actually go across the street over here and do our thing. All right. Yep. So you guys can just follow me. Come on. Come on. Come. Yes, good boy. Come. Come. Yes, good boy. Come on. Come. Nope. 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 Yes, good boy. So if you notice, right, what I'm doing is he's, of course, again, turning around looking at you guys. But my goal is to get him to walk with me, right? Even in his excited state of mind. So all I'm doing right now is every time he turns around towards you, I'm just giving him a slight correction and telling him no. But once he turns around and gives me his attention, I reward that, right? So that's the balance, right? So I have to reward the behavior that I like and correct the behavior that I don't like, right? So that's just that is literally the baseline of training. Reward what you like, correct what you don't like. All right. All right. Come on. Yes, good boy. All right. Yep. Come on. Okay. All right. Cool beans. So if you guys don't mind, I'm actually going to hand you guys the phone while I'm handling. And then when you guys handle, I'll take the phone if that's okay. All right. Thank you. Yep. And then you just flip it around. All right. Cool beans. So the first thing I want to do is if you have any specific questions that you want to ask.
Actually, no. I'm actually pretty good.
No problem. Now, of course, in the videos, I've been showing you guys what we've been working on as far as the leash etiquette and what we've been doing with that. Is there anything specific with walking him that you guys have been having issues with, like other dogs?
And it was actually that one.
Okay,
I would have a question with.
Gotcha, right? So what we did here was pretty much the same thing you would do when you see other dogs, right? Because it's the distraction is different, but the concept is the same. It's a distraction. So all we're doing with him, and as we know, he's a very easily distracted dog. I think he might have to poop. He's a very easily distracted dog, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. See his back. So the main thing that we have to work on with him is getting him to control his impulses, right? Which for him is a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Just genetically, he's all over the place, right?
His brain's
very sporadic.
Yeah.
So that's a very hard thing for him to do. So it's a couple of different ways we can do that. Now, you guys saw me use his food in the videos. Now, the reason why we're not going to use food today is because I only use the food as a training tool, specifically if I'm teaching something new. Because I want to be able to have as much leverage as I possibly can, right?
Yeah.
So obviously if he has a high food drive, that's good because we can use that to our advantage.
Yeah.
Now the flip side of that, excuse me, is we don't want to become reliant on having to have something to offer in order for him to listen, right? So today is a perfect day because next week we're going to kind of be transitioning in asking more of him without us doing more, meaning we don't have to offer more food. As a matter of fact, I'm going to offer less food. Right? So that's how we get more performance without having to give more. So today is actually a perfect day for you guys to kind of learn without having to offer food how to get that same result, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, cool. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to and all I'm going to do is show you how to correct him and get his attention when you need it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Cool beans. Shadow. Shadow. Yes. Good boy. Come. Now, if you notice, when I'm asking him to come, especially when he's in an aroused state of mind, if you notice, even in the videos, I jaw, right? There's a reason I do that, because movement arouses the dog, right?
Yeah.
Through their natural predatory state, right? So also, fast movement is much easier to engage his mind than it is the typical mundane slow movement, because you got to remember the things that he's excited about, they're moving fast,
Yeah.
right? So now, again, being that I know that, I have to become more excited or more. I have to become more excited in order to get him more excited to come to me, as
Yeah.
opposed to being excited to go chase the squirrel or whatever
A
it is.
person,
that
yeah.
Right? So the technique behind that is, right, he's distracted. I just pop the leash, right? That's the first thing. I pop the leash, Shadow. Yes, good boy. Yes. So that's the mechanics behind that, right?
Yeah.
The pop the leash is just a simple tap on the shoulder, right?
Yeah.
And I think I said that in the video. When you're hyper focused on something, right?
Yeah.
You know, let's say you're calling her name and she doesn't hear you. It's not that she's ignoring you on purpose, right? It's just that she's hyper focused, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like you've experienced that before. Yeah. So then you get close enough and say, hey, babe, I'm talking to you, right? And you kind of snap her out of that trance. It's the same thing with him, right? He's in that trance. He's all over the place. That tap of the leash is just a quick, hey, Shadow. Yes, good boy. And once he gives me his eyes, right?
Yeah.
That's when I reward that, right? So that is just literally the most basic. That's the most basic of the mechanics of getting the dog's engagement, right? You're not paying attention. Give me your attention, and once you give me your attention, I have to reward that, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool beans. Shadow, come. Yes, good boy. Come. Now the other part of that is, right, don't be fooled to where if he starts running, but he runs the opposite direction. Remember, the goal is for him to come to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I love this retractable leash, right? Because it actually allows him to fail in a controlled environment.
Yeah.
So in his mind, he thinks he has a lot of freedom, right? Because the leash goes in and out, as opposed to a typical 6-foot leash where you only have a certain amount of space to work with.
Yes.
Right? So now the reason why I love this retractable leash is because allowing a dog to fail in a controlled environment is the best way to actually teach a dog. What most people do, they avoid situations like when dogs come, they typically bring the dog in close and go away, right? I'm not going to go away, because he has to learn that simply because something is coming close, that doesn't mean he has permission to go, right? So if you notice, I'm not restraining the leash, right?
Huh?
All I'm going to do is, not normally, yes, but we're doing training right now. So if you notice, I'm not restraining the leash, right? Because I want him to try to go to the dog so I can actually correct him. So
Yes.
I can teach him that running towards strange dogs, even though it's a friendly thing, is not proper behavior, because
Yes.
we don't know what those dogs, right, are capable of, right? We don't know if those dogs are like dogs or not, right? So now the flip side of that is teaching them what to do in those situations, right?
Yes.
So instead of running towards the dog, I'm just going to ask him, Shadow. Yes, good boy. Sit. Right there. Yes, good boy. There we go. Good boy. Right? So I'm going to ask him or tell him what it is that I want him to do.
Yeah.
Now, in some situations where people ask, hey, is it okay if they say, greet each other? Once he sits, then you give him permission to go greet the dog, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why that's important is because it's no different than any other action, to where you never want him to think he has the right to make the decision to do things, right? That's running out the door. You know, we spoke about the time he ran out the door.
Yeah.
So this is literally the equivalent to where when you get to the door, right, you tell him to sit at the door. And then when you're ready for him to come out of the door, you say, okay, come. right? As opposed to him
Starting
bolting.
out. Yeah.
Exactly, right? So that's the different scenario, but the concept is the same. Instead of running towards the dog, I need you to sit. Then when I say, okay, it's okay, play or free, then he has the permission to play with the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
It does.
cool. So he's calmed down enough to now where I'm going to hand you guys the leash, and we're just going to walk. And as we're walking, I'm just going to direct you on the mechanics of what to do to when he's walking out in front, how to get him to come back to you. You know, all of those things that you saw me doing in the video.
Yes.
So now still don't pet or give him any like excessive amount of energy. Just walk, because we want to save the petting for when he actually does something good, right? Okay, cool things. There you go. All right, now do you guys normally use a retractable leash when you walk? Okay. So the mechanics of the retractable leash are going to be a little awkward in the beginning because you're so used to using a static leash to where you actually have to use your physical to pull the dog back in. With the retractable leash, you don't have to stop to stop him from running or going too far. Like, now it sounds simple, but because you're not used to that mechanic, it's going to be a little awkward because your natural reaction is going to be to grab the leash. So, you'll get over it, but just keep that in mind. Use the thumb as opposed to the arms. All right, let's do it. Holding the arm here. That actually creates unnecessary tension, right? So the most important thing about being with the dog is being relaxed. Because believe it or not, even this right here, you're preparing for something that hasn't gone on yet. Does that make sense? Because you're already thinking, I'm ready for him to run so I can pull, right? Yeah, so just be relaxed. So remember, he's on the leash. At worst, he's just going to run a little bit out far. But nothing really bad can happen because all you got to do is click that thumb, and then he has no more space to run. All right. Yep. Well, so it depends on what you're trying to do, right? Now, if and we haven't started working on this command yet, we're going to actually start working on that this weekend, or this week, the free command, right? Free means you actually have the autonomy do what he wants to do, and that's another reason why I love the retractable leash, because it gives him that freedom to where he feels free, and you don't feel like if you want him to go on the grass, you have to go all in the grass. So similar to this, it gives him that freedom to be a dog, right? But also the other side of that is being able to call him back to you when you're ready, right? So, and that's what the recall and those things are for. So to answer your question, there's no direct answer to that. It's more so how you feel, right? When you feel it's too far, right? Well, you're kind of feeling like you're working on the walk. So what I would say now is whatever you feel in the moment, if you feel like you're a little too far, call him back. Yep. Or if you see he's going to pick up something in his mouth, because I know that was something that you guys wanted to work on too, he's picking up random objects. You tell him, hey, no, and call him back to you. This is 2016, but I can see this is one of the cheaper ones. I have another one. I have it at my other house. I'm seeing the leash that I have is a much more quality leash. Yeah, much more durable. Yeah, there you go. So now, right? Let's say you wanted to, and we're just kind of manufacturing, the scenario. Let's say he was doing a little bit too much spelling. He's going back and forth a little bit too much, right? And you wanted to reel him in, right? So let's continue to walk, and I'm gonna take you through the process of how to do that, right? So, perfect example, right? He's behind you. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna tap, right? And call his name. So every time they get on perfectly marked, okay? reason why that good boy is important is because that's a marker for him to know that he actually performed the task that you wanted him to perform, right? So, we can try it again. Good, good. Okay. Not bad at all, not bad at all. Okay. And all we're gonna do is practice that. Every time you're ready, you just tap that leash, call his name.
Shadow.
Good. Okay. There you go. Perfect. That was perfect. That was perfect. Yeah. As soon as he puts that butt on the ground, that's because what that also is working on by default is teaching him that he gets praise when he puts his butt on the ground, not when he puts his feet on your legs, right? That stops the jumping that we were talking about, right? So by default, without even telling him to stop jumping, we're teaching him that the reward comes when you don't jump. So we almost really don't even have to tell him to stop jumping. Does that make sense? Yeah. You ready?
Shadow. Sit. Shadow, sit. Oh boy.
There you go. Good. Good. Okay, so now perfect opportunity. He picked up the twig, right? He has it in his mouth. There you go. Good job. Good job. And what I'm going to actually do while you're walking, I'm going to throw little pieces of sticks in front of him. What I want you to do, and this is where the timing, right, is when you see that stick hit the ground and you see he goes for it, just give him a slight tap and no, right? But then after that, call him back to you because there has to be an even exchange, right? So obviously he wants the twig. You're telling him he can't have the twig. So what can he have? You know what you can have? You can have me. You see what I become the twig now. I become the tree, right? And that's when I talk about leverage. That's what leverage is making you more important than everything else that he wants to get. Yep. Okay. Cool beans. Yep. So call him back in. Good.
Sit. Oh boy.
Oh, okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. So let's walk. And I'm just gonna toss the twigs. See if I can get his attention first. Oh, he's rolling in something. Tell him no. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Good. Okay, you ready? So, there you go. Tap again. There you go. Beautiful. Good job. Good job. Yeah. Again. There you go. Yeah, you gotta, even when you pass it, they're very opportunistic, right? They'll wait for that moment where they, yes. Yeah. So even when you think it's over, you're still kind of keeping your eye on him for that last chance that he's going to take to try to get it. All right, so let's do it again. Okay. Okay. Good. Good. Yep.
Sit. Good boy. Oh.
Good. Get a little bit more crispy in your nose, right? So when you say no, yes, a little more sharp in that no. Because it's not the no, it's not necessarily the word no, because they don't know what the words mean. We apply behaviors to the words. It's the tonality that really registers with them, right? So when you say no, you want it to pierce because you want him to know that you're doing something that could be dangerous to you, right? Or to you as well. So the tonality and how you say that is how he learns what
Sit.
is how he learns that that word no is important. Okay, all right. Again, there you go. You can untwist him. There you go. All right. Okay. Go the other side too. Okay. So this is actually perfect, right? So now, same thing. You see, he wants to get this. There you go. Very good. Yeah. Good.
Oh.
There you go. Okay. So now what we're gonna do, right? Because my theory is not necessarily wrong that he wants to get the stick, right? But again, we can use this as leverage, right? So the same thing that we're telling him no is the same thing that we're gonna give him as a reward because he didn't do it when we asked him not to do it. Does that make sense? So and reason he has something to calm down. Okay.
Sit. Shadow. Shadow. Sit.
Good. Good. So now the reason why that's important is because we're not trying to tell him that being excited to play with things is bad. What we're teaching him is you can't just do it when you deem fit, right? When I give you permission to do it,
Right.
I know.
Blue cheese, Swiss cheese, and that big goodness. It's very bad. Good morning.
All right, good morning. How you doing? Okay. So now I'm going to give you this stick, right? Because that's the stick that you're going to use to reward him when he comes back to you, right? So I'm going to toss this one. You tell him no. You tell him come here, sit, and then you offer that stick to him. Yeah. But then the next thing, and this is stuff we're going to work on next week, it's kind of foreshadowing what we're going to be doing. The next thing we're going to do is work on him dropping, right, that stick. So that is equivalent to, let's be honest. He's a small dog. He's going to have moments where you're not going to see him, and he's going to grab stuff. And instead of fighting him, right, you can just tell him, drop it. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what this is going to lead up to. Okay?
Shadow. Shadow.
You might be using a bad one. No, she's looking for something.
Shadow.
Okay, so let's do it. I'm going to toss this one. Good. Okay, so now bring him back to you. So that's the next thing, right? That's the next thing. That's the possession that's going on, right? So he has the thing that he wants. So now come this way, son. Get him out of the grass. Yep, and put it towards you. Okay, good. Let's do it again. I'm gonna give you another stick because what I want to actually have him do is have it in his mouth and drop it out of his mouth. Because that moment he drops it out of his mouth, that's when you're gonna reward him, right? So let's try it again. Good. So I'm gonna toss this one, right? And we can actually stay here, and you can let him take the retractable leash out and have him come back to you. All right, Shadow. Shadow. Yes. Okay. No problem. No problem. So just pull him towards you. Yep. Let him keep it in his mouth. Pull him towards you. Okay. Yep. There you go. Keep him right there. Okay. So now what you're gonna do?
Sit.
Right. Okay. Good. Good. Okay, so let's work on that a bit. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so now what you're doing, matter of fact, let me demonstrate real quick. Okay, so what you're gonna do is, in the moment where we're teaching, because remember, he doesn't know drop it yet, right? So we have to actually teach him what drop it means, right? So come on. So let's say he has it in his mouth, okay, and you want to get it out of his mouth, right?
Yeah.
And let's see if he picks it up. Of course, when we want him to put it in his mouth,
He's
he doesn't want to put it in his mouth, right?
yeah.
Okay, so we may have to do a video on that just to, but the mechanics behind it is when he has it in his mouth, right? You just slightly pull up on the leash, and all you're waiting for is the moment when he drops it. That's when you say drop it, right? Because what we're building up to is him understanding drop it means drop it out of his mouth. But we have to teach that first, right? So let's see if we can actually get him to okay, drop it, good boy, yes, good boy, right? Okay, so yep, let him pick it up again. Okay, now just slightly hold it up.
Drop it.
Yes,
Good
good
boy.
boy.
Good boy.
There you go. So we're gonna implement that this week, right? So yeah, any questions? Mhm. So in the beginning, yes. In the beginning, he's getting better. He's getting better, but in the beginning, he will bark a little bit, especially if he can still see you. Now, once he can't see you, for the most part, he pretty much goes quiet after that, right? So we've been working on that. You know, him not doing the excessive barking, you know, especially if I put him in a crate or something like that, and I'm working with another dog, you know, so we've been working on that. But he's definitely getting better with it. So I haven't had him with the bigger dogs. I've only kept him with the smaller dogs. Oh, he's fine. He's fine. Yeah, he's fine. He's in the beginning he was a little apprehensive. He was a little apprehensive with the bigger dogs. But you probably I don't know if I think I had bigger dogs on the outside of the enclosure he was in. But he's pretty fine. Like there's no aggression or anything like that. He was a little apprehensive. But other than that, you know, he's fine. But now that he's used to them, you know, he actually goes to the cage and plays with them a little bit. Yeah, so he's pretty good. Yeah. So yeah. He's good. He's good. So we've been doing purely hand feeding. We've been doing purely hand feeding. Because again, that's you know one of the techniques I use to help teach. You know what it is that I'm looking to teach him. But you know he's fine. He's good. You know, actually this is also what we'll do. We will add in I guess the term is food etiquette to where when I put food down on the ground in a bowl, he doesn't jump for it, right? He has to get permission to go for the food. So yeah, we can add that in this week. We don't add it in this week. We'll definitely add it in next week. But I'm pretty sure we'll be able to add it in this week. Yeah. Yeah. So that's and you know, of course, we just keep building on that. Uh, yeah. So again, the trick with that is
Yeah, I'm gonna get on the bus. I'll
obviously
meet
seeing,
you back.
you know, how close and how far you are. And again, it's one of those things where I'm not trying to avoid people. The goal is to teach him that he can't just run up to people. So it's allowing him, and again, this is why I love this type of things, right? If you notice, I never, like when the lady was going by, I didn't restrain him. I allowed him to make the decision to run to her so I can tell him no. Right? So I know he's gonna probably run to her. Right? I'm allowing him to do it just so I can make it a teaching moment. So that way in the future, and this is the hard thing about walking dogs, is never predict when other people are coming with dogs. So, and that's why I like to use my dogs, even with my dogs as kittens, because once he gets used to my dog, then it's not the same as a new dog. So, again, it's one of those things to answer the question. I don't stop him from trying to run to other people. I allow him to initially make that decision to do it, just so, hey, no, Shadow, come, good boy. and then I tell him to sit, right? And then, if it's a situation where it's okay to introduce the dog, then we give him permission. If not, we just keep going. So that's pretty much how we do that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So again, the theme is never try. Avoidance doesn't equal compliance, right? We always want to face the thing that we're having an issue with. Perfect example. There you go. Perfect example.
Shut up. Shut up.
There you go. Good.
Shut up. Good. Good.
Good. Yeah. Now, in moments like that, I don't know what it was that he was chasing. It could have been a leaf. It could have been anything. In moments like that, where you see his arousal goes from 0 to 10, we have to become a 15 in our excitement level, right? Because if you notice, we got his attention, but he was still focused on trying to get it, right? So now I know. Good. So yeah, so remember the name of the game is I have to be more exciting than the dog. What's going on? Yeah.
You a dog trainer?
Yes, sir.
Can I get information?
Yeah. I don't have any cards. Yeah, I
See,
get
you
my
make contact. I won't try to interrupt them.
Yeah, no, it's
What's your
815.
Shut up. Shut up.
So, I'm really actually coach.
Okay.
I'm trying to get a trainer as well, but I'm trying to get more trainers. I like to get some more trainers.
Okay. I get back to my phone. I'm actually, because I'm recording on the phone.
Okay.
So once we finish recording, I'll send myself.
I appreciate it. So, right?
Yep. Isaiah, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. What's up? So yeah, so like I said, the name of the game is avoidance never equals compliance, right? We can only get compliance if we actually address the thing that we're having an issue with, so we can teach him what's the proper thing to do. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And if you notice, we didn't really go that far. Right, that's something else I try to impress upon people is when it comes to training, it's not that you need a whole bunch of space. You just have to know what to do in that space. You know? He's actually a very intelligent dog. He's just, hyperactive. So sometimes that hyperactivity is a hard thing to manage, simply because they're always looking for something to get into. So you have to be almost even more hyper-vigilant. Well, no, hyper-vigilant is not the word. So you almost have to be more hyper-aware to be able to redirect that, right? Because a lot of training is stopping something before it actually happens. Because once it happens, then obviously there's a whole nother level of issues that you have to deal with. Exactly, right? So then, and because dogs don't think retroactively, depending on how much time has passed once they've already done the bad thing, it's almost like you have to let it go. Because they don't, like if you're trying to correct them for something that they did 10 minutes ago, they're not making that connection because their brains don't work like that.
You're just getting
Basically, yeah. Because they don't understand that, oh, he chewed the sock up 15 minutes ago, but you're still mad that he chewed the sock up. Good, yep. So you're still mad that he chewed the sock up, but he's not making the connection that you're yelling at him from chewing the sock up 15 minutes ago. They have no clue, right? So that's where, a lot of people have the misconception of correcting the dog. Because essentially at that point, it really becomes abuse because they have no clue why you're being mean to them, right? So, and that's why the timing of corrections is so important, because the easiest way to stop a behavior or correct a behavior is catch them in the act of doing it, because that's when their mind is more aware of what it is that you're correcting them for, right? So yeah, so in the beginning, there's a lot of hyper awareness that you have to have, but then obviously as time goes on, exactly, because you've laid the foundation. He has an understanding of what's expected of him. Yeah. So yeah, ain't that right, big fella? Yep. Yep. So that's actually something, again, we're going to be working on. So I'll give you an example, right? So let's see if we can get him to do it again. And this goes to the engagement piece as well, because eventually when he comes back to you, what this is going to look like is he's not going to be wrapping around like that. We just haven't gotten to that point to hyper focus on that particular thing yet.
Yeah.
So if let's say he's wrapped around, right?
Yeah.
Now, instead of saying something to him, how I'm going to teach him that I need you to stay on the side, I'm just going to stop and go the other way, right? And then when he comes again, right? When he comes again, coming around again, right? I'm just going to stop and go the other way. Good boy.
Good boy.
And this is how we correct this particular behavior, right? Because eventually what this is going to create, right? You see he's not paying attention. Good boy. Every time he goes off onto his own little escapade, I'm just going to stop and change the direction. And then the moment where he gives me, good boy, yes, come, right? He gives me his attention, I'm the reward. He's off on his own escapade again. We stop and turn and go the other direction. We call that a corrective U-turn or an abrupt stop, right? And what this does over time is he begins to learn that, oh man, every time I think I can just go off and do my thing, I feel that tap on the shoulder, right? Eventually he's gonna learn, like, man, I'm so sick of feeling that little tap on the shoulder. Let me just pay attention to him. And then over time, you'll see he will begin to be more engaged with you on the wall, because he's two things. One, he's trying to avoid that correction, right? And two, he learns that, man, you know, if I pay more attention to you, I get more reward. So he's going to be looking for the moment where you say, good boy, right? It becomes like almost like a drug addict, where they're looking for that next fix, right? So it's the balance of, okay, I don't like the correction, I do like the reward. You know, let me focus my energy here, because the reward coming from here is much better than the correction coming from out there. So again, we just haven't quite worked on that specific thing yet, but that's something, you know, when he comes back, it'll be much better. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Any other questions? Okay. Okay. Cool beans.
You have any questions?
No? Okay.
I'm a cameraman right now. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, and then of course this, you know, this will be posted on YouTube, so that way you guys can go back and watch and, you know, just kind of study all the little details that we went over. Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
You want to wave goodbye to your 5 followers?
Say that again.
Anyway, goodbye.
Oh, hey, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys, absolutely. We'll see you in the next video. All right. I appreciate you. Yeah, you just hit the X at the top there. Yep. All right.